Okay, you guys, we should be picking up right where we left off. She's like, Nightmare and Elliot are still doing it. She's like, I can't see how long, ... it's going to continue. The maid cuts into her inner monologue and she's like, let's get out, ! And then the employee cuts in and he's like, yeah, let's get out. She's like, eh? The maid's like, isn't Miss bored? ? The employee's like, it's troublesome, isn't it? ? And the maid's like, let's go, let's go. And I love that. They're like, let's ditch this troublesome snore fest. The employee's like, let's get out. And then has thanks you guys for getting us out. She's like, eh? ? Are you sure it's okay? She asked after a pause. They're like, we're bored and dull, ... yes, ? The employee's like, we don't have anything to do here. She's like, that's right, ... But can't they still get angry after a pause, she asked. The maid's like, they can't get angry. And it's because the servant said it's all over, ... She's like, well, after a long pause, yes. She's like, I'm just making noise now, protesting. I mean, even if I do go out, it won't affect me, if anything happened. She's like, originally, this is a place where I do not need to be present. She's talking about the assembly. She's like, it doesn't make sense to stay here anymore, ... She's like, it's painful to see a boss who makes such a fussy noise in a public place, ... trailing off. She's like, but where is it? I mean, how do you get out of here, ? This area is not so detailed. She's like, are you familiar with the exits, ? They often go out because of them storming out, but are they familiar with the neutral district entrances, ? And trailed off. She's like, when I listened to this, thinking, it was an unexpected answer they gave me. The place to get out is in a guest room, and it seems to guide you to the room where you'll stay too. Because they have to stay during the events. They're stuck there. I found out. Until they're over. The assemblies. She's like, a room to stay in, ... The employee's like, well, we stay here during the period of the assembly. She's like, got it. On assembly in this tower, though, ? Do you mean spending our time in this tower all of the time, ? After a pause. Colleagues are busy and my coworkers are killing me with this. It seems to be okay, though, she said after a pause to herself. She's like, we will be spending time in the Clover Tower during the assembly period, and those who are invited to the meeting will be given a room to stay. My colleagues kindly gave me the basic information during the meeting. She's like, but it's so long for us as to be given a room to stay. She's like, is it? ? The employee's like, yeah, it's quite a long time. I mean, it'll also be several times in the future, too, ... trailing off. She's like, our job, though, and trailed off.
屋敷に残っているものがやってくれますよ。
The maid's referencing like the future assembly meetings here too. She's like, someone will do it, or will remain at the mansion.
そうですよ。サボれていいじゃないですか。
The employee's like, that's right. I mean, isn't it okay to just squeeze out now then? Question mark. She's like, ... After a long pause, I'm not calm about this, she thinks to herself. And the scene changes.
いやー、帽子やファミリーの諸君じゃないか。
Here we have a random man. He's like, hello, gentlemen of the Hatter family. I don't know you, though, he says after a pause. And he's like, how are you? Question mark. She's like, I tried to leave the conference hall to herself.
どうも。
The maid just thanks him for asking.
お久しぶりです。おかわりなくて何より。
The employee, though, says, long time no see. What's more, it's not changed for us. Anything, ...
君たちも変わらないな。だるそうだ。
The man is referencing, and we still don't know who he is. He's like, you too, ... Don't change. And then he's like, it seems to be a foolish pursuit. Like, changing and trailed off. Then he's like, question mark, after a pause.
その子が噂の
He's
よ
like,
そ者か。
is this the child, ... in the rumors? Question mark. She's like, this man is smiling at me. I'd be given the heebie-jeebies. She's like, my colleagues changed to block his sights, the man's. Standing position is different than before when she's looking at them. Their standing position. She has no reply to this. She's just like, what? Question mark.
取って食ったりしないよ。
In reference to their defensive position, he's like, foo, I won't eat it. In reference to her. She's like, my colleagues do not move. He continues laughing.
大事にしているんだな。
He's like, foo. Oh, you're taking care of it, after a long pause. She's like, saying that, he left. She's like, question mark. What's wrong? She asked aloud. Question mark. My colleagues are acting strange and they seem to be murderous. She's like, is it that last person? I mean, but he was a gentle and normal person, she thinks. She's like, after a long pause, a normal person except that one leg is a prosthetic leg. She thinks about this, and the maid doesn't reply for a second.
あの人の足、ボスがダメにしたんですよ。
It translated a little weird for me, but she's like, that person's foot. I mean, he said he lost his leg, so the boss has failed after a pause. She's like, after a pause, Alice to the maid.
ボスがあの人の足を吹き飛ばしたんです。
So the servant actually explains. He's like, the boss was the one who blew away his leg, and I'm assuming he was trying to kill him.
大勢力のやつなんですよ。
The maid's like, he's a hostile enemy. Alice has no reply.
恨まれているんですよ。あの人、ボスを憎んでいるはずです。
The servant's like, he's got a grudge. That person should hate the boss and does not adore him. It's like the flattery was.
恨まれるとかって怖いでしょ。気をつけてくださいね。
The maid's actually worried about her. She's like, are you scared of being rubbed out? Question mark. And then she's like, please be careful of that? Question mark. Like, you will, right? Alice is like, I'm scared, ... It's terrible, and I hate it. What I hate is fear, or what I fear, I hate, she tells them, so I'm not going to give them any more of it. And then paused and trailed off. She's like, and my colleagues, who don't seem to care much about things, are scared of this for me.
期間中のクローバーの塔付近はいろんなやつが滞在しているから気をつけてくださいね。
The servant's like, please watch out because various guys are staying near the Clover Tower during this period. Okay? Question mark.
敵対している相手も多いんです。
The maid's like, there are many opponents.
面倒ですよね。
The servant's like, that's a hassle! Exclamation mark.
だるいです。
The maid concurs. She's like, it's dull and troublesome. She's like, they do not lose their usual condition, their lethargy. And the event changed again. They're taking her to her room, and where the exit supposedly is during the event. The maid's like, this is the room.
期間中はここに滞在するんです。
The servant's like, we stay here during this period, like the period of the assembly. She's like a mansion, it is a large room, or like at the mansion, it's a large room. She's like, it's too big for me to be the one to be addressed to stay here, and trailed off to herself. She's like, isn't it ... for those treated specially? Question mark to them. Is it because she knows Nightmare of this main tower? And then she's like, I feel like I'm being treated preferentially in such a room, to herself.
いいえ。会合中に呼ばれたお客の部屋はみんなこの規模なんです。
The servant's like, no, all of the guest rooms that are for those who are called during this meeting are of this size. She's like, is that so? Question mark.
私たちも同じ規模の部屋です。
The maid's like, yes, and we are too in rooms of the same scale. Alice is like, everyone is the same? ... Are the rooms of blood the same size? Question mark. And then she's like, to my doubts, my coworkers responded with a dull answer. She's like, bloods are the same, repeating back what they said, ... And wide enough for me, but not enough for blood to actually be addressed to stay here. It seems to be a thorough and overly equal treatment. She's like, equality is good, but isn't there any problems from this? Question mark.
それが不満な人は町の宿屋で豪華なところに泊まるみたいですけど。
The maid's like, people who are dissatisfied seem to stay in a luxurious place in the town inn.
でもボスたちは気にしていないみたいですよ。
The servant's like, though, our bosses don't seem to care. He's like, but ours don't. She's like, oh, after a pause, and she's like, blood may actually be like that. She says they stick to what they care about, and they aren't particular about where they are, and they don't worry about things that they don't like. or that you don't like. She's like, they don't care about you. But Vivaldi, ... It translated weird, and she's like, I don't think it's right. After a pause, she says to herself and asks, what should I do? Because I think Vivaldi's her role model. That might be why it was saying that, or it just translated weird there. But the scene's about to change. And then it forces us to only visit our housemates while we're here, so it's going to be a bit of an endless loop in between all of these assembly events, because we're about, I want to say, a quarter from being done with the videos. There's probably like 2 more. We'll go on ahead and spam the twins a little bit, because I don't mind them, and I think they're actually a good rival, because they bully Pierce with Boris. So we might trigger some scenes later doing this.
お姉さんだ。いつもの格好も可愛いけど、その格好も可愛いね。すっごく可愛い。
So this one I actually think is the right one because it's our first visit during the assembly events, and he's like, oh, my sister. It's B. He's like, the usual appearance is cute, but this appearance that you're wearing is also cute too. So cute, he told her.
僕らは着替えないのかって。
Dum's like, do we have to change? Question mark.
もちろん着替えるよ。それがルールだからね。面倒でも着替えないと。
And then he was repeating our question. He's like, Dum says, of course you'll need to change your clothes. That's the rule.
面倒だけど、今回はちょっと楽しみかもね。お姉さんも楽しみにしててよ。
And then D cuts back in. He's like, it's troublesome, but this time I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to you, sister.
何を買って？まだ内緒だよ。
He's like, D, he's like, what are we doing? Question mark. Foo foo foo. It's still a secret. And then it fades out. We'll try to end the video there, you guys, and then we'll pick back up with who we can.